What's going on, everybody? The world is a better place because you are here to join us. My name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Productive Conversations podcast. It is Monday, September 30th, the final day of September 2024. And we're so happy to have you join us as we talk about week 4 in the NFL season. How about that? 4 weeks already in the books. And before we do that, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe to the Productive Conversations podcast on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And don't forget to check out exclusive content regarding the show across all social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Productive Conversations Podcast, X and Twitter at PodConvoPod, and we're on TikTok at Productive Conversation and Facebook at Productive Conversations. And as always, I just want to give a shout out and thank our presenting sponsor, Magic Mind. This shot right here, this shot of Magic Mind can be responsible for your life changing for the better if you start taking it. You take this once a day, and if you do it, thanks to its vitamins and nootropics, your mental clarity will be enhanced, your stress will be reduced, and your overall quality of life will be better. You take this before your day begins, add this as part of your morning routine, whether at the gym, whether before you take the train, whether before you take the bus, or whatever you do. You take this, you feel the results, and I promise you, and not too long, in about 30 days, your life is you are going to feel so much better as a person. And I can't even hit the snooze button anymore because of it, and that is for the better. But such a great product, and we thank Magic Mind for always having our backs. And go to magicmind.com/PCMB and use discount code PCMB20 for 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your first one-time purchase. We have the description in the link below. We have the link in the description below on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And yeah, I cannot say more good things about Magic Mind. So the NFL is already what? Just about a quarter of the season done. That's about right. Quarter. 4 weeks down in a 17-week season, 18-week season. So yeah, just about a quarter done already. Ugh. As we head into October, and it's going to be a big month of October. Going to start our October postseason coverage this week in baseball. We got more Magic Mind shows to talk about. We got some spooky season stuff we're planning. Obviously, the election's a month away too, so we'll even have stuff for that. But everything we do will be all about productive conversations with each other about various things, including here in the 4th week of the NFL season. So let's start talking and let's get into this, the 4th week of the NFL season. Why don't I start with my team on Thursday night, losing 20-15 to the Dallas Cowboys. Oh man. Now, you get some momentum after beating the Cowboys last week. And then, sorry, after beating the Browns last week. And the Cowboys lose some tough games at home prior to this. And what do? They continue the streak of beating the Giants, their 7th win in a row against the Big Blue. And even at points where maybe the Giants could run away, but they were always chasing as per usual. Didn't need to use much. All Dak needed was CD, and CD with 7 receptions, 98 yards and a touchdown. Dak 22 for 21 with 221 yards and a couple of touchdowns. It was hard to keep up as the New York Giants defense had no answers for the Dallas Cowboys. And then, even in points where maybe the Giants can make a comeback with it, Daniel Jones comes up short once again. And even in the final play, and all he did was throw to Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, and Malik gets a nasty, nasty concussion. I really hope that he recovers very soon. He did not look good. There's that haunting image of him with the two of the medical staff, and I guess he said he wasn't good, but hopefully it's a true welcome to the NFL moment, and he will be okay. But thoughts and prayers to Malik. But besides that, you never felt like Daniel Jones was going to create a comeback. You just didn't. Even this a game where he almost had 300 yards, but once again, Giants not scoring a single touchdown, and it was all Greg Joseph's leg giving us points, and it's very disappointing and aggravating. And I don't know if I'm just going to be mature about it and just say We're on to the next one, but we know this team is not going to the playoffs. Do I want to see the Giants tank? Not necessarily. I don't want to see my team lose. I want them to be in every little bit of it, especially with all these games being so crucial and how much we hold on to these games. And it hurts. It was aggravating, but if this is the trend we're going to take, and there's are good quarterbacks in college football so far. Cam Ward looks really good. Shedeur Sanders. If Quinn Ewers stays healthy, gets back on the field, and gets some wins for Texas again, he's somebody to look at as well. We also have the kid from Oregon. Maybe that's something to consider for the future, but that's still a long way. We're just about starting October now, but Giants not looking good at home against Dallas. And what do you expect? Giants offense couldn't do a thing about it. And Giants defense, even holding the Cowboys to only 20 points, still wasn't enough. Tough loss on Thursday night for the Giants. They go down. Dallas is now at 500. And now what actually is a very interesting NFC East. But why don't I just hit on that too? The other NFC, probably the most intriguing big thing to talk about this week, where Washington goes to Arizona. One of my picks this week. Let me just double check how we did. We went 1-2 in college, 1-2 in the NFL. Jets failed the 7.5 spread. Pittsburgh failed the 2-point spread, and then the Commanders point plus 3.5. That was my lock, if anything, but still tough, tough week at 2-4. But regardless, though, we're still bouncing back. But Commanders leading the division at 3-1 right now, and now on a 3-game winning streak. And they go to the other side of the country against a pretty respectful and improving Arizona Cardinals team. And Jayden Daniels just continues to impress, my fantasy quarterback, if you will, as well. But 26 for 30, 233 yards, and a touchdown. He runs in for a touchdown as well. Ryan Robinson Jr. keeps on running. This strong offensive line the Commanders have with run protection, with pass protection, and all they did was produce points. Pretty good stuff for Washington. Cardinals, all they had was a few moments from Kyler with Marvin Harrison Jr. and James Conner really put more of the points for the offense. But here we are. The Commanders are 3-1. Commanders looking pretty legit. And not only with Brian Robinson showing the great running back he is, with also Austin Eckler on your side too, who could be another option in the backfield. Plus Terrence McLaurin and Jayden Daniels being a legit duo growing. Commanders have something going with Dan Quinn, and hats off to them as they began their new era with new ownership. And then with the Bucks and the Eagles, the Buccaneers bounce back after losing at home against Denver. They win 33-16, and it was pretty much all Buccaneers, where Baker threw 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, and we had Bucky Irving stepping in for the running back position. And then here we go again. Mike Evans has an incredible game. Chris Godwin holds his own too. 8 receptions, 94 yards for Evans. Godwin has to go 6 for 69. And then Cade Otton making people feel okay. We even saw Sterling Shepard make some noise, the old giant. And then the Eagles. Besides Saquon, offense couldn't do anything. I know they're hurting right now. Other questionable coaching decisions from Nick Sirianni adding to the rage of the Philadelphia Eagles fans. But also Jalen Hurts didn't have an impressive game either. He wasn't making much noise, whether running or throwing the ball. It was all Buccaneers all game long. And now they are stuck at 2-2, the Philadelphia Eagles. But this is where we're at so far in the first 4 games. Commanders 3-1, Dallas and Philly both 2-2, and then the Giants at 1-3. Not good. So I started this in the last 5 minutes of the Ravens and Bills. So why don't we hit that here where it was all Ravens now after an 0-2 start, get back to 500, where Derrick Henry is proving why he's a Hall of Famer, probably the best pure running back I've ever seen. And let's read these stats. Just 1 yard shy from 200 yards on the ground alone, 199 yards, 24 carries, and a touchdown. Breaking tackles were left and right. Lamar Jackson, in the limited time he was actually out in the pocket, he still throws 2 touchdowns, rushed in for another. And don't forget, too, Justice Hill having a great game himself. Mostly awesome, especially with 6 receptions out of the backfield, 78 yards. And now the Baltimore Ravens are cooking again. And you have to feel really confident and comfortable about the Baltimore Ravens cooking right here. And Bills, they lose, get their first loss of the year. There's still probably not any reason to panic as of yet. Ravens are a great team. Who knows? Maybe this could be a playoff matchup. But it was just a very, very bad game for the Bills. Josh Allen was not who he usually is. Often running, making questionable decisions, at an ugly fumble in the second half, for instance. And then having his receivers drop passes, not creating a lot of separations for defenders where they knock the ball down. And I just honestly think this was just a bad game for the Bills, and the Ravens clearly took advantage of it. Plus, they had a lot to prove. And now for the Ravens, you got to feel at least a little more comfortable going into the month of October for them. Especially, you got to feel great about Derrick Henry. Truly looking like the best running back in the league right now, consistent in all 4 games. And even in games where he wasn't featured as much, still getting a lot of yards on the ground. And yeah, showing why he's probably going down as an all-time great, Derrick Henry. And now keep on adding to that momentum. Let's keep rolling. What was definitely one of the ugliest games for a Jet fan, losing to Denver. Denver now at 500. Denver defeats the New York Jets, going to Jet Life Stadium, as the Jet fans want to call it. And the Broncos just straight up outplayed the Jets. Jets was looking awful on offense. Not one touchdown for their game. And forget the rain. It wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be. Aaron Rodgers going 24 for 42 and just having a hard time reaching his receivers today. The offensive line had their worst game, creating a lot of pressures for Aaron Rodgers. And there are just points that he was getting knocked out. And I can even refer to the sack at the late in the 4th quarter. And, there's just points where he was straight up limping and hurting. And while the Jets defense played okay for the most part, Bo Nick, both teams were ugly. I believe both teams both offenses were both negatives at one point. I know for a fact Bo Nix had negative 7 yards going into the second half. But Breece Hall couldn't do much. Byron Allen didn't do much. Garrett Wilson didn't do much. And somehow, some way, you have to be very annoyed seeing the Denver Broncos defeat the New York Jets, killing momentum after 2 big wins back to back. And now they're going to London against a red-hot Vikings team where it seems they can do no wrong. They almost blew it today against Green Bay, but the Jets now have a lot more added pressure. But luckily for them, Miami's hurting. Buffalo gets a bad loss against Baltimore. The Patriots are still rebuilding. But this is a game where they should not have messed around. No business not scoring a single point against the Broncos defense. And yeah, embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing loss. Not good. And, probably were a little nervous for how much Aaron Rodgers was hit out there. Nobody was clicking. Maybe this will be the one pass they get, but the undisciplined football, the stupid penalties this team especially got. Alan Lazard, wink, wink, with the taunting penalty, which he deserved. And wow, nasty work for the Jet fan. Tough loss against Denver. And why don't we mention that Vikings and Packers game? Again, it was all Vikings at one point, leading 28-0 in the first half. With the returning Jordan Love, though, he willed his team back to the point where they got it up to as close to 28-22. They do score late, and it was 31-29, which was your final score. But Vikings hold on and stay undefeated. I don't think this game made any proclamations that the Vikings aren't legit yet, because they're definitely legit on offense. There's no way about it. It's the defense that worries you, giving up 29 unanswered points after going up 27-0. But Jordan Love in his first game back, despite a few interceptions, does get 4 touchdowns and 389 attempts. 54 passing attempts is a lot, though, I'll tell you that. But not much of a running game, and it was just all offense that saves the Vikings, who did not score in the second half to mention. That's important to mention. But Vikings do get the victory, 31-29 now. I still think at least Sam Darnold is a no doubter. He had a great game. It was just maybe a little too close. Maybe they were a little too comfortable with Green Bay coming with this comeback Green Bay almost created. But ultimately, the Vikings get a big 31-29 victory, thanks to Sam Darnold still continuing his MVP work. 275 yards and 3 touchdowns, not too shabby. But this was probably the best overall game, the back and forth Saints and Falcons divisional matchup, where it ends in a walk-off field goal by Young Ho, and the Falcons get a big victory after a tough loss on Monday night against the Chiefs. And you could think this, both defenses were on point, both offenses were on point, and it really was a battle of fruition. And it was the Falcons who wound up going on top. Kirk Cousins keeps the game close, and maybe Derek Carr doesn't show any. Derek Carr, and a lot of people feel that he digresses as the season goes. And despite keeping the Saints in it and having some legit moments to be proud of, it was the rushing game that helped keep the game close. And the Falcons just having more time running away with it. So great get back and forth game. Falcons win it 26-24. Bengals and Panthers, what at first looked like maybe the Panthers have something here. Andy Dalton looking really good, and the Panthers looking really good at home. The home crowd looked like that they were actually in a good mood, and they were pushing. Bengals 0-3, people really questioning what they have left. This would be a good opportunity to get back in the board, and the Bengals wound up running away with it after at one point it was a 14-14 game deep into the second quarter. But Bengals run into it. Jamar Chase looking like the player who wants to get paid. Big moves, even in only having 3 receptions, but 85 yards in between them. But at least one thing you can get out of this game is how good Carolina actually looked with a legitimate quarterback. And whether or not Bryce Young can turn into that good quarterback with the number 1 overall pick that they are expecting, it was the Bengals running away with it towards, especially in the second half of this game. Bengals 34, Panthers 24. And the Jaguars and Texans, Texans have always had the Jaguars always had the Texans number. And at one point, maybe Jacksonville was going to get their first win of the season. But poor play and decision making from Trevor Lawrence. Defense not keeping up, and CJ Stroud running away with it with a huge comeback victory, getting a big touchdown with only 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And CJ Stroud ran down the field in a 2-minute drill, and the Texans get a big 24-20 victory. Jacksonville. Ooh, oh boy. I think Jacksonville might be looking like one of the weaker teams in the NFL ultimately. And Trevor Lawrence is really getting exposed this season. Despite playing his best game of the season this year, wasn't able to will them to victory. Steelers and Colts. I thought the Steelers would stay undefeated. Maybe I underestimated them. And the Steelers did make a comeback towards the end. It was all Colts at the start of it. But Justin Fields can only do so much when you really only have one weapon out there in Deontay Johnson, and he has his ups and downs. But I give Justin Fields credit, whether with his legs or in the field, about 360, over 370 total yards, 310 yards in the air. But Anthony Richardson gets hurt once again. Joe Flacco shows up. Joe Flacco, how you doing? He throws for a couple of touchdowns in this game. Him just he's not gonna go away easily. And I give him a lot of credit. Stepping up in big situations, obviously leads the Browns to the playoffs last year and helps the Colts get back to 500 with a big home victory. Credit to the Colts holding on and a very exciting second half that a lot of people should have enjoyed and be happy with. But the Colts get a 27-24 victory over the Steelers. And yeah, they after all the weapons gave the Steelers a run for their money. Steelers weren't able to get to the quarterback like they usually do despite Anthony Richardson's injury. And the Colts, big 27-24 victory right here, right now. And then we have the Rams and the Bears. What was really good to see is that Caleb Williams finally gets another throwing touchdown, this time to DJ Moore. And despite a quieter game and once again the rushing attack, especially DeAndre Swift leading the way and getting the points against the Rams clearly hurting, playing backup receivers. But Matthew and some weird interceptions that Matthew Stafford would throw at the end of the game. But the Bears defense again showing their dominance and how they can change the game when it matters the most. And the Bears pull off a big 24-18 victory. They get to 500. Caleb Williams slowly improving game by game, though you want to see him get more yardage. But ultimately, Bears get this big victory over the Rams. Again, you have to be very impressed with the Bears defense on this one. Big game for DeAndre Swift as well. Patriots at 49ers. Get Greg Kittle back. They go at home. And Patriots still rebuilding. Had really no chance. Already a 10.5-point underdog. They easily covered that. And whether it was 49ers creating turnovers, whether it was Brock Purdy having a great game, getting people in the right spots, Jordan Mason once again showing that the 49ers do not have to worry about the running game. He has another stellar game, 123 yards for 24 carries, and he was breaking tackles, giving a hard time for the Patriots defense to stop him. And yeah, once again, against a weaker team, 49ers get back into a groove. I wouldn't expect to see them become 1-3, but ultimately they get the victory. And we have my cat Larry joining us. Larry, say hi. Hi, Larry. This is my guy Larry, my beautiful tuxedo cat, who literally looks like an award-winning cat. So shiny, so calm, and such a good creature. But back to the football. 49ers get the 30-13 victory over New England. What else did you expect? They just need to get more they just need to continue to stay healthy. And having Debo and Kittle back in the mix and the defense looking absolutely stellar out there. Big win for the 49ers. Browns and Raiders. Got to be pissed off if you're a Browns fan on this one. And Deshaun Watson having a hard time scrambling and getting eaten up by a Max Crosby-less Raiders pass rush. And actually coming out of the gate, Cleveland was looking good going into it. But thanks to the defense being more disciplined for the Raiders and getting in good positions, getting in good positioning, but ultimately the Raiders win thanks to their defense and Deshaun Watson's bonehead decisions. And you got to feel hopeless if you're the Browns. It seemed that you all the Brown. Though I'm not amongst the Cleveland fans every day, the dog pound, if you will. You hate your quarterback, and rightfully so. Can't perform. I understand some nasty allegations against him. And it just seems ever since he left Houston, he has not been a good quarterback whatsoever. Not clutch, makes stupid decisions, and puts the Browns in vulnerable positions, despite at least a good defense. Ultimately, the Raiders win, but sad stuff for the Browns. Good win for the Raiders, though. And then the last game to talk about, and Monday's games, the Titans and Dolphins, Seahawks and Lions. We'll talk about that during our picks show this week. The Chiefs and the Chargers. Chiefs did not play that well, despite losing Rashid Rice for the season in a nasty turnover where Mahomes is just trying to stop the play, puts his shoulder in the wrong spot, freak accident, knocks out Rashid Rice's ACL, and that's his season there. Ultimately, I thought a lot of people thought that the Chargers might give the Chiefs their first loss in this big divisional game. And boy, they did seem to have a chance. But ultimately, Patrick Mahomes does Patrick Mahomes things again. Looks like Xavier Worthy had a big game after being quiet since the home opener. Travis Kelce finally made some noise. Where are the Swifties at? No Swifties. Swifties don't want to help Rashid Rice's cause or show support there, but that's another thing for another day. But Kelce with 7 receptions for 89 yards and Worthy with a big 54-yard touchdown. And Mahomes, despite looking bad in the first half, had an amazing second half. Ends his day 19 for 29, 245 yards and a touchdown. And I don't know, it just seems like the Chargers ran out of gas. They couldn't run the ball in the second half. Justin Herbert couldn't hit his receivers. The Chiefs' defense was creating a lot of pressure and eating him up. And ultimately, Chiefs stay undefeated again. They do have to clearly make some adjustments now with the Rashid Rice injury, but you know they're going to be fine. They're the freaking Chiefs. I was about to say the Patriots, but definitely Patriot light. But as in, the Tom Brady Patriots. But yeah, I am definitely intrigued to see where it goes from there. That'll complete the week 4 recap of the NFL season. That is our week 4 discussion, our week 4 productive conversation, if you will. Don't forget to check out our week 5 college football recap that is available on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And also don't forget about the tweet cap this week. We're returning. Sorry we weren't able to release on Friday. I had a flat tire on my way home to record that show. So don't worry, we will be back at it on Tuesday. Then we have another pick show on Thursday and Wednesday also. Guess what we're doing Wednesday? Lair? Wednesday, we will be doing our MLB postseason coverage. So we'll talk with Alec Reeves about where we see this going, who's coming out of the AL, who's coming out of the NL. What are the big storylines coming into it? And of course, you know who we're going for. Go Yankees. And the chance that they can win this whole thing. But really, it's all wide open now that the season is over. And there's a big doubleheader taking place on Monday to finish the seeding. And I can't wait to see how this all goes. It's officially October. We have October baseball to talk about. So we'll begin those conversations on Wednesday, and then picks Thursday, and then Friday another tweet cap. So we have a show for you every single day this week, every single day this week, all 5 shows. Monday are recaps for football and college football. Tuesday tweet cap, Wednesday baseball, Thursday football picks, and then Friday tweet cap. So it's a full week of productive conversations, and we're about to have a lot of fun with it. All right, I love each and every single one of you, and we'll be back with you tomorrow talking about what's trending in this crazy world. All right, much love, everybody. Peace.